three refuges. Namo tassa bhagavato arahato samma sambuddhassa. Namo tassa bhagavato arahato samma sambuddhassa. Namo tassa bhagavato arahato samma sambuddhassa. Buddhang saranang gacchami. Dhammang saranang gacchami. Sanghang saranang gacchami. Dutiyampi buddhang saranang gacchami. Dutiyampi dhammang saranang gacchami. Dutiyampi sanghang saranang gacchami. Tatiyampi buddhang saranang gacchami. Tatiyampi dhammang saranang gacchami. Tatiyampi sanghang saranang gacchami. So friends, welcome to this Wednesday evening sutta study. And this evening we're still looking in the last part of the Anguttara Nikaya in the book of the 11s. And this sutta is titled the Cowherd. It's in the book of 11s, number 17. And it's titled the Cowherd. Now, for most, English-speaking people, if we say a cowherd, you probably are thinking about a herd of cattle. But in India at the time, a cowherd was a person who tends the cattle, like a young boy or something like that, who tends to them and takes them out for their to the pasture in the morning, brings them back to the house or in the village in the afternoon. And so the word cowherd is referring to the person who is attending to the cows. And of course, in so many suttas, the Buddha uses similes and analogies from the common day-to-day life that's going on around them, because that was the easiest way for villagers to kind of be able to relate to the Dhamma. The Buddha gives some analogies from daily life to also how we practice the Dhamma. So the Buddha is talking to the monks, and he says there are 11 factors or 11 qualities where a person with a flock of cattle are incapable of keeping and rearing that herd of cattle so that they grow and prosper. And so then he tells them, what are these 11 factors? He said, a cowherd has no knowledge of form. He is unskilled in characteristics. He fails to pick out flies' eggs. He fails to dress the wounds. He fails to smoke out the sheds. He does not know the watering place. He does not know what it is for the cattle to have drunk the water. He does not know the proper roads to take the cows on. He's unskilled in pastures. He milks dry, and he shows no extra veneration to the bulls who are the fathers and leaders of the herd. So having these 11 qualities, a cowherd is incapable of keeping and rearing a herd of cattle so it prospers and grows. And now he's going to give the analogy to a monk. Of course, he's giving this talk to a group of monks, but even lay people can also relate to these factors to some degree. And possessing these 11 qualities, a person is incapable of growth, progress, and fulfillment in this Dhamma and discipline. What are these 11? So again, he repeats the same ones. He says a bhikkhu has no knowledge of form. And he goes through the list of the same 11 qualities. And now he's going to explain the meaning of each of these. And how has a person no knowledge of form? Here a person does not understand as it really is. All material form of whatever kind is made up of the four great elements, and the form derived from the four great elements. It is in this way that a bhikkhu has no knowledge of form. Now, this refers to, the four elements are the earth element, water element, fire element, and wind element. Now, these what comprise up all aspects of form, and form means the material form of our body and the material form of everything in the world, including also sound is a material form, visible object is a material form, odors, flavors, these are also material forms. That means they have atoms of, that exhibit these qualities. Even a smell going by, the mind then creates a material form from these basic four elements. And then it perceives them and makes up mental pictures of them. But understanding the four elements is a very important aspect of cultivating the insight and of cultivating especially the insight into impermanence and no self. Because ultimately, like even this material body, even though it appears to be solid and real, weighs 100 and more pounds, when you break it down, it's just cells, molecules, atoms, which are just basically like energy. I mean, an atom is just, with the electrons going around it, is just energy. So it's these energy vibrations that are actually the four elements of the solid element. This energy appears to be solid. It manifests as something being solid. It manifests as something being fluid. The water element, it manifests as something having temperature, like heat and cold. And it manifests as movement, or the wind element. So, and all the material forms that appear solid are, have these essential material vibrations as their essential core. So, but of course, the average person doesn't understand that. He thinks these things are something real and solid, and then get attached to it because of that. So anyway, that's what it means. It has no knowledge of form. so that they see an object, they immediately get attached. Oh, what a beautiful this or a beautiful that. They don't understand it's just, earth, fire, water, air, vibrations, and a projection of the mind. So it doesn't understand how the solid material objects of the world are created within the mind. That's the important thing, because the Dhamma is all about the mind, understanding how the world appears to our mind, because that is what we get attached to. Okay, so that is what is the meaning by a person who doesn't understand form and no knowledge of forms. And how is a person unskilled in characteristics, does not understand the characteristics as they really are? In this particular sense, the characteristics he's saying, that people are characterized by their actions. So, a fool is characterized by their actions, a wise person is characterized by their actions. If a person is, a thief, then they're characterized by their actions. They're called a thief, or a liar, or an adulterer, or a murderer, or a gambler, or a drunk, right? So, of course, these are, judgments that we're making about people, but still their characteristics, the way that they live according to the characteristics that dominate their actions. That's how, what is the meaning of unskilled in the characteristics, like how to recognize somebody, that you shouldn't necessarily hang out with. Somebody who's trying to, lead you astray or so. So that's how a person is unskilled in the characteristics. And how does a person fail to pick out flies' eggs? So, on animals, if they have a wound, then flies might land on that wound and lay eggs. And if you don't know how to pick them out, then of course they will turn into larvae, I suppose, and, cause infection. So here a fly's egg, according to the Dhamma, here a person tolerates a thought of sensual desire. They entertain it and they build it up and they start developing craving and desire for whatever object of sensual desire it is, whether it's something they see, smell, taste, touch, or feel. They latch on to that characteristic and they allow this desire and the craving. It might be start with a pleasurable feeling, but then it turns into a desire for that object, and then an intense kind of craving. So they don't know how to drive that thought of sensual desire out of their mind, or a thought of anger or hatred, or a thought of delusion, or any type of unwholesome, unskillful thoughts. And they don't know how to, abandon them, dispel them. And so he goes through, the various types of unskillful thoughts, because, people entertain their thoughts. They like to think hatred about somebody else. They like to denigrate somebody else. They like to spread rumors about other people. Not everybody, of course, but we know people do that. So, the people, they get entertained by that. And, they create a lot of unskillful karma. So being skilled in that is learning how, through our meditation practice, we, learn how to reflect on them and see the danger in entertaining these kind of thoughts and to drive them out, or to apply right effort, and to do the opposite, a wholesome quality. And how does a person fail to dress a wound? So let's say, okay, you pick out the fly's eggs, but then you have to dress the wound, because it could get reinfected if you don't put a dressing on the wound, even though you might get the initial object out of that caused the wound, but then you have to address it and put on some antiseptic. And so, how does a person fail to dress their wound? Okay, having seen a form with the eye, or hear a sound with the ear, smell with the nose, taste a flavor with the tongue, they grasp at the marks and features. And because they grasp at the mark of beauty, or the mark of anger, then these thoughts then fester. Just like if you don't dress the wound, then the wound will become reinfected. So the same way we have to dress the wound is knowing how to contemplate the sensory impingements as being impermanent and no self, and learning how to apply the right effort to prevent the continued preoccupation with whatever particular emotion or thought is coming into your mind. So that's not guarding the senses. Because if we don't guard the senses, then the mind then takes us away into all kind of various thoughts, and then eventually leading to some karmic actions that then we regret, or causes some painful results. So in order to dress the wound, in meditation, this is where contemplation is important. That you have to know how to contemplate and understand that a thought of sensual desire is a thought of sensual desire. A thought of ill will is a thought of ill will. And any of the other type of unwholesome thoughts. And you have to know how they arose and how they continue, because we keep paying attention to them, and how they can cease by contemplating the painful effects of that, contemplating them as impermanent, and then applying the right effort to apply the antidotes, or the opposite type of the wholesome opposite thought about whatever object it was. Because until we can do that, then the mind will continually be carried away by its various, monkey mind thoughts and its negative thoughts, and that leads to our, karmic actions, and then just keep, getting the mind deeper enmeshed in the web of, the web of the karmic interconnected thoughts, what the Buddha called the inner tangle and the outer tangle. And how does a person fail to smoke out the sheds? Because I guess, a farmer, if the sheds are infested with fleas or some other type of insects, then they have to smoke out the sheds in order to drive away the kind of fleas or mosquitoes or whatever might be disturbing the cows, crawling on them and so on. So they have to smoke out the sheds from time to time. So here, a person does not teach the Dhamma to others in detail as they have heard it and learned it. So this is referring to, especially monks who are, trying to teach the Dhamma to other younger monks or to other people, that some don't have the inclination to do that. And they don't feel like sharing or trying to make the Dhamma available to others who, want to learn. And so that's how the Buddha very much encouraged the monks, the older monks who have some experience in Dhamma and have learned the Dhamma well, to share that with other, younger monks too, but it can apply to also to lay people, not just keeping the Dhamma for one's self. So, and how does a person not know the watering place? So, a cowherd who takes his cows out, he has to know where the watering holes are so he can take the cows over to get the, a drink of water. And otherwise, if you don't know where the water is, cows, if they don't get enough water, then they, will get sick and problems. So doesn't know a watering place. So a Dhamma practitioner, they do not from time to time approach the learned monks. Again, it's talking to monks here, but you could also, could mean other people who have an understanding of the Dhamma. So they don't visit, teachers from time to time and ask questions to question them on thorny points about meditation practice or other aspects of the Dhamma. If there's some doubts and so on, then because doubts is one of the hindrances and one of the fetters. So the way of overcoming one's doubts is by asking questions and hopefully getting useful answers. And then, of course, by meditating also, that, as you meditate, then you get insights that help to resolve some of your doubts as well. But it's not knowing the watering place is not knowing where you can go to learn Dhamma. Like, let's say on the internet. So during the pandemic, you couldn't easily go and visit centers, right? Most of them were closed. So now then on the internet, there's a lot of watering places, so many Zoom programs, and other Dhamma programs that you can go and, drink the Dhamma from, various teachers who are offering, kind of offering the Dhamma teachings and meditations and so on. So knowing how to access those. And then how does a person not know what it is to have drunk? So you might go to a watering place, and maybe you just take a couple of sips of water, but you didn't drink enough, and you go away and you get thirsty again. So you have to know what it is to having a drunk. That means a person has to gain inspiration and gain whatever they're hearing. It should further their some kind of insight. They say, "Oh, yeah, right. Okay, I didn't think about that. Yeah, that's right." And kind of give them some motivation, some inspiration to want to practice. So, people might be hearing Dhamma, but if they're not concentrated and so they're thinking while the person is, giving a talk or explaining a sutta, maybe their mind is distracted by so many other thoughts, thinking about tomorrow or yesterday or so many things. So you might miss some key words, even though you vaguely are kind of hearing, but still, if you're not concentrated, you miss you might miss some key points there. That then at the end you say, what did they say? Well, you see, you talk about five aggregates, but there's still like some confusion. So knowing what it is to having drunk is to get the inspiration from whatever you're studying. Doesn't gain inspiration or joy from the Dhamma teachings. So that's what the meaning that the person knows what it is to having drunk. Like when you drink or eat food, you know that you ate something, right? You feel satisfied. So in the same way, that's how we have to understand that. Then number 8 is a person does not know the road. Just like the cowherd, if he doesn't know the country roads and he takes the cows down a road where there's going to be some danger, then that will be, a problem. So most of you probably should recognize what the road is, right? So he says here, a person does not understand the Noble Eightfold Path as it really is. So the Noble Eightfold Path is the road to make progress in the Dhamma, the road to liberation. And so I think most of you already know what the Noble Eightfold Path is, but starting with right view and going through all the other steps of the Eightfold Path. So, and knowing how all those path factors, it's a graduated path. The right view helps you to then have and develop right intention. And then the right intention helps you to have the right speech, because you give up the wrong intentions for wrong speech and you practice the right speech. And the same with action, livelihood, and the effort. Each of those is a stepping stone to the other one. And if you don't follow, all of the 8 steps, you only get part way and you don't reach the goal. Of course, the last steps are mindfulness and concentration, which then, lead you to the end of the path. That means the attainment of the stream winning, once returning, never returning, the arahant. And then how is a person unskilled in pastures? Well, that's again with the cowherd. He has to know where the good pastures are, right? So not to go to the same place every day, because the cows, they eat all the grass in one place, and he has to know where there's another pasture. Or he knows that there's some other cowherds with their own other herds, and he knows where they are going and which places have grass, and so on. So he has to be skilled in the pasture and know when to go to a particular pasture so that he's going to get the best grass and feed for the cows. So in the Dhamma, the four foundations of mindfulness are called the pastures. So the four foundations of mindfulness, these are the domain or the pastures for a meditator. Somebody who's practicing meditation in a focused way. The mindfulness of the body, mindfulness of feelings, mindfulness of the mental states, and mindfulness of the Dhammas, the different categories about the five hindrances, the five aggregates, the six full sense sphere, the seven factors of enlightenment, and the four noble truths. So these are it's called the pastures. This is where we feed. This is where a meditator feeds for the Dhamma. We're eating Dhamma, in our practice of Dhamma and our meditation is like we're eating this Dhamma, feeding on the Dhamma, and that's what gives us our sustenance and strength and the good taste is by contemplating over and over again the Dhamma, because that leads to, less and less suffering. And so being skilled in knowing how to apply which of those aspects of mindfulness that arise in any moment to prevent the mind from, eating some poison. So basically, skilled in pasture, the cowherd has to know if there's poisonous mushrooms growing in that pasture, or there's some local weed, or some of the other poisonous plants. The cowherd also has to know that, and not to allow the cows to go and eat these poisonous things. So the same way, when a monk or when a person is skilled in the four foundations of mindfulness, then he's not going to be eating the poisonous thoughts that may come up in the body, the feelings, the mental states, and so on. Okay. And how does a person milk dry? So I guess, also the cowherd doesn't want to milk the cows dry, then the cow might not have any extra milk for their calf. No? So they milk the cow, and then that cow has some calves. There's no milk left for the calf, so not to milk the cow dry. So that's also, this pertains to monks especially, but they shouldn't take advantage of the lay people who are providing them with the requisites. Now, or, to take advantage of people's kindness, right? So maybe somebody offers you something and then you have desire and you want something more from them, and they say, oh yeah, whatever you need, let me know, people are going to say that, but if you start asking and demanding too much from them, always asking for more and more donations or more and more better things, the people, you're going to milk them dry and they'll lose their faith. So you have to be aware of that, and just take what one needs for the basic, your basic upkeep in terms of the offerings that people, generosity of others, and not to milk them dry, because then you will lose their support. Okay. So basically, using things in moderation and not being so needy all the time, always wanting more things. And how does a person, especially a monk, show no extra veneration to the elders of long standing who have gone forth, and especially those who have attained the stages of stream winning, once returning, never returning, or the arahants? If they don't show friendliness and pay respects to them and so on, then those they won't get the benefit. Then those elders won't be so inclined to give an effort to teach them or support them. So know how to pay the right type of respect and veneration toward those kind of persons. The same way in a herd of cow, the bulls and the older cows, the younger ones have to pay deference to them and so on. And even in our daily life as well. Like if you have teachers, if you don't have respect for your teachers or asking questions, and the teacher may not be so inclined to spend a lot of time trying to teach you because he sees that you're not really that much interested in it. So that was the 11th of those qualities. Now, if anybody has any questions about any of those things, those qualities that we mentioned in the sutta, then you can ask a question in the chat, although we also, I think we have sound now, right? Everybody can hear me, and I guess I can hear other people. So anyway, here's one question. How to be mindful of the Dhammas? Other three foundations are easier to understand and contemplate, but Dhammas are vague to me. Please elaborate. Well, the first three foundations are mindfulness of the body, mindfulness of feelings, and mindfulness of the mental states. So if you understand those are all part of the Dhammas. The contemplation of Dhammas is just a further elaboration of the elements of the body, the feelings, and the mental states, and the way that you contemplate them. Contemplate them in terms of the impermanence, and so on. For example, the first category of the Dhammanupassana is the five hindrances, right? So the five hindrances include our various types of thoughts and so on, but there's specific categories of Dhamma. So you have to read, you have to read this sutta, and you have to read these categories. People sometimes they just gloss over it, and they have to read it clearly and slowly. So you have to know the five hindrances. You have to know, when is sensual desire arising? That's a pleasurable feeling. So that's a contemplation of feeling. You have to understand. That's part of the second foundation of mindfulness, contemplation of feeling. So sensual desire is a hindrance. And because they produce pleasurable feeling in them, they get attached to that pleasurable feeling. And so they have to understand how then that pleasurable feeling, it turns into craving. So they have to contemplate it. And then the same with the hindrances of ill will. That's also a feeling, a painful feeling. You got ill will and angry because you're experiencing a painful feeling. So these things are very much connected. You know, the previous three foundations are not separated from the Dhammas, but the Dhammas are just a specific type of contemplation of these groups. And so when sloth and torpor, that's a mental state. You know, that's a hindrance, but it's also a mental state that you should be contemplating in the third foundation of mindfulness. And the restlessness and worry also, you see. So that's why, you know, the four foundations of mindfulness, the way that I prefer to teach them is first you have to do the first three, and in that order. You have to contemplate the body, and that prepares you to be able to then observe the feelings more clearly. And once you can observe feelings clearly, you'll see the thoughts, perceptions, and thoughts triggered off by those feelings. And once you become proficient in understanding the body, feelings, and thoughts, then it'll be very easy to understand and contemplate the fourth foundation of mindfulness, these different groups. So that means that, then the five aggregates. That's the second group within Dhammanupassana, the five aggregates. Well, what are they? Material form, that's the body, first foundation of mindfulness, feelings, mental states. So the five aggregates, they're also already in those first three foundations of mindfulness. So it's not really different. It's just a more specific kind of contemplation, recognizing, this is material form. These are those four, the earth, fire, water, air, vibration. What we just talked about in the Cowherd Sutta, understanding form, right? And then the feeling, perception, volitional activities, and the consciousness. So, and then the six senses, and understanding the fetters and the attachment between the ear and the sounds and the visible objects and the eye, and how they get how we react and get attached to the six senses, and understand how the connection between the sense organ and then the object that impinges on the sense organ, and the fetters that arise based on that. And then as you're practicing that, the 7 factors of enlightenment, you're gaining concentration. You're gaining mindfulness and concentration as you're doing all those things. So these are the factors of enlightenment, as your meditation gets deeper and deeper. You realize, mindfulness is good now. Investigation of Dhamma, knowing how to investigate, analyze all of these different categories. That's called investigation of Dhamma. And then the joy and the happiness that comes from that, and the tranquility. And then eventually the concentration and the insights. So, again, it comes from having practiced the first 3. And then finally the 4 noble truths. When you have the experience of the Sotapanna, this is suffering, the cause of suffering. But you've already been contemplating that so long in all your previous kind of contemplations and understanding. But now you're seeing it, having developed the 7 factors of enlightenment, then that's when you really penetrate the 4 noble truths. Penetration means getting that insight into, no self, and getting a glimpse of, that emptiness or the deathless state and so on. So that's, if you don't develop the first three foundations of mindfulness, that's why you might be confused and don't understand what is the Dhammanupassana. They're aspects of Dhamma, these categories, the five hindrances, the five aggregates, the sixfold sense sphere, the seven factors of enlightenment, the four noble truths. These are all Dhamma. These are what the Buddha gave thousands and thousands of lectures on over and over and over again. This is the Dhamma. So that's what we're contemplating in that. But without having previously done the first three, that's why people get confused. They want to rush, So even while you are practicing the first three foundations, at the same time, you're also practicing the Dhammanupassana. But, it takes a lot of practice and meditation to understand how all these things really fit together. Okay? So, anybody have any last question? Okay, well, here's another question. Can you explain the Pali term of sampajanya? Sati and sampajanya is the clear comprehension. The translation of that is clear comprehension. So there's mindfulness, and then there's the clear comprehension. So just being mindful, there's an itch arising on my head. Okay, well, just being aware of the itch might be sati, mindfulness, but if there's no sampajanya, that means understanding what the itch is and how it arose and its impermanence and so on, then that's the sampajanya, is understanding what you have sati of. So there's mindfulness, but then you have to understand the object of that mindfulness. What is the meaning of it? And also the purpose of what you're going to do, especially the sati sampajanya occurs within the contemplation of the body in terms of when you're doing activities. So let's say there is a desire to go somewhere, then you should ask yourself, why do I want to go to this place? What is the purpose of me going to this place? If you say the purpose is just to enjoy your senses or to get into some mischief or to do some bad karma, then that's the wrong sampajanya, where you have to give that up. So you have to understand the purpose of what you're going to do. Even of meditating, what is the purpose of you sitting down to meditate? The purpose is, I want to develop mindfulness, concentration, and wisdom. That should be one's purpose of meditation. Not the purpose to gain psychic power. I want to gain psychic power, read somebody's mind, or I want to remember a past life or whatever. I mean, some people might have that as their purpose of meditation, but the purpose should be to develop mindfulness, concentration, and wisdom. And suitable. It's what you're going to do, going to be suitable for attaining the goal. And then the domain is, does it fit into one of these four foundations of mindfulness? So this is a sampajanya, understanding these four things of the purpose of what you're going to do. Is it suitable? What you're going to do, is it suitable for gaining the purpose? And does it fall within the four foundations of mindfulness? Because it should. Everything can fall in through one of the four foundations of mindfulness. And then the sampajanya of non-delusion, the clear comprehension of non-delusion. That means understanding anicca, dukkha, and anatta of that object that you're mindful of. So that is the meaning of the sampajanya. But especially in terms of doing things with the body, because that's where we get into trouble, right? You have the urge to want to go here, go there, and we go to some place we shouldn't be going, and then we get into trouble, something happens. We allow our mind to entertain some fantasy. Is that really suitable for my meditation? Is that suitable for gaining tranquility, to think some revengeful thought about getting even with somebody? Is that suitable? So like that, that's sampajanya. So the mindfulness is one thing, but the clear comprehension of what you're mindful of that's the wisdom. It's also sometimes called satipanya, mindfulness and wisdom, but clear comprehension is part of that wisdom, especially the fourth sampajanya of the non-delusion. Okay. Okay, friends, I think looks like that might be the last question, and also we're kind of so we'll bring this part of our program to an end, and take a short break, and we'll come back and we'll do some yoga exercises. Now you can apply this. What's a sampajanya? What's the purpose of doing the yoga? That would be an idea of sampajanya, clear comprehension. Why am I going to go and do yoga now? Is it going to be suitable for my purpose of meditating? Some people find it suitable. After you do, 10, 15 minutes of yoga stretches, you sit and meditate, you might feel better, you might have less pain, you might be more awake. So that's suitable for your meditation. So that's also just an example of how you can apply the sampajanya of what we're going to do now, right? Or why do I want to go take a drink of water? Or why do I want to go to use the restroom first? Because if I sit down and then I have an urge to go to the bathroom while I'm in the meditation period, then that'll disturb the meditation. So like that, you have the understanding of the purpose of anything that you might be doing. Okay? Okay. So we'll meet back in a few minutes and do some stretches and then have our meditation practice. difference. So try to stand straight. Just gently close your eyes. Just feel the weight of the body pressing the feet on the ground. Just feel the straight legs over the feet. Feel the hands and arms hanging from the side. Feel the clothing touching the skin on different places. Feel the head balanced on top. Just try to just mentally feel that outline of the standing body. Then begin some deep, slow breathing. It'll take about 3 or more seconds to slowly expand the lower lung, middle rib cage, and the upper chest. Hold the air in the lungs a few seconds. Allow the oxygen to get into the bloodstream and feel the relaxing contractions of the out breath and the last bit of air go out of the lung. Just cultivating this basic mindfulness of breathing in, letting go of the past and future. Breathing out, standing here and now. Breathing in, letting go of the past and future. Breathing out, standing here and now. Okay, now we coordinate these fairly simple movements with the same deep, slow breathing, repeating each one 3 times. On the next in breath, raise the arms over the head, interlock the fingers, turn the palms up, straighten the arms, stretch your head back, look up at the back of your hands. On the out breath, turn the palms down, touch the top of the head. And again, in breath, palms up, straighten the arms, stretch the head back. So bend backward a little bit, stretch up. Out breath, touch the head. And the third time, hold that upward stretch longer. Bend back a little more. Feel the arch in the lower spine. And release the fingers. The out breath, arms back to the sides. And close the eyes. You just feel the feet pressing the floor. Feel the increased body sensations. The clothing touching the skin, or subtle pulsations or heart beating. Or any other body sensations that come and go. Just remember the present moment of standing. Just let your thoughts come and go in the back of the mind. Keep the material body, 4-element material body in the front, and the sensations in the front of the awareness. Okay, on the next in breath, push up on the toes and raise the arms over the head in this way, facing the hands toward each other about 6 inches apart, and stretch. And the out breath, come back down, arms to the side, heels to the floor. Use the breath to help lift the body up. In breath. Stretch. Out. Once more in. Out. Just relax. You can close the eyes. Feel the sensations. Feel the clothing touching the outer skin and the subtler pulsations or other sensations under the skin. All those sensations, that's the material form, solid elements of the earth element. If there's any heat or cold, temperature element, the water element, air element. Breathing is the air element. Clothing touching the skin is the earth element. The vibration that produce sensations, feelings. Okay, next we'll do knee bending. On the next in breath, lift up on the toes and lift the arms up front for balance. On the out breath, bend the knees and lower down, balancing on the balls of the feet. You come down, squatting position if you can. Take a deep breath, push up, using the strength of the leg muscles, all the way up on the toes. Out breath, down. In. Out. In. The out breath, relax. Feel the increased heartbeat. Or any other sensations. Keeping the mind in the body, it's contemplation of the body, here and now. Okay, now spread the legs and feet apart about 3 feet, wider the better. We're going to do side bending, keeping the legs apart. So breathe in. On the out breath, bend over the right side as far as you comfortably can, letting the hand come down below the knee. In breath, lift back up. And the other side, out breath. Feel the stretch in the side. Flexing the spinal column, sideways, in-breath up. Again to the out-breath to the right. In-breath up. Again to the left, out. Once more to each side, out-breath. Just relax. Just feel the whole body exactly as it is, each foot pressing the floor, sensation of the legs spread apart, hands touching the legs, clothing touching the skin, the head balanced on top, itching, prickling sensations, or just any other body sensation. What is this body really? It's just the four elements, cells, molecules, atoms, electrons, all vibrating. Basically just condensed energy. It's the sampajanya of non-delusion. Of understanding what you're mindful of. The impermanent. Okay, now we're going to do forward and backward bending. So be careful with the back bend. Don't bend back too far the first time. Especially when you come up from the back bend, it could be a little shaking of the body or tendency to get faint or dizzy. So just let the hands touch the front of the legs. Breathe in. On the out breath, bend forward. Let the hands come down to your knees the first time, but keep your head up, looking out straight ahead, and try to flatten the back and spine like a tabletop to get the hump out of the spine. Kind of arch the spine down a bit. Legs straight. And the in-breath, lift up. Move the hands under the buttocks for support. Then carefully let the head go back. The out-breath, gently bend backwards, not too far the first time. Look up at the ceiling. In-breath, carefully lift up. You have any shaking. And again, out-breath, second time, let the hands come down below the knees. Still keep the head up, the legs straight, spine straight. Feel the stretch in the back of the leg. The in-breath, lift up. Again, the back bend, out-breath. Bend back a little more. In-breath up. And the third time, the out-breath, let the hands come down as far as you can toward the feet or the floor. And then hold that position longer. Feel the stretch in the hamstring muscles in the back of the legs. Feel any other sensation. And lift up again. Breathe in. You raise up. Hands around the back. One more time. The back bend with the out breath. And be careful. In breath, lift up. And the out breath, just relax. Close the eyes. And mentally feel the whole body. All the life force vibrations. Sensations on the outer skin. Sensations from underneath the skin. Just pulsation, heat. Try to feel as though the whole body has been washed and bathed with oxygenated blood and life force. Just allowing the awareness to rest in the present moment. And bring the legs back together. Again, just feel the standing body. Do one last exercise, the head turning from right to left. So an in-breath, turn your head to the right as far as you comfortably can. Look over your right shoulder. Turn the eyes further to the right. See something behind you. Feel the in-breath, turn the head 180 degrees back to the left. Concentrate into the neck vertebrae. Look over the left shoulder. And in-breath back to the right. Out-breath left. In-breath right. Out-breath left. On the in-breath, let the head stop in the center. Just feel the whole body. Be aware of standing, present moment of the body. Okay, so let's go ahead and return to the our seats for begin the meditation. Okay, friends, so we'll start our meditation practice now. We'll just try to sit in a straight posture, but just try to relax, be comfortable in the posture, but keep the spine and the back of the head in a straight line. And we're going to first practice the contemplation of mindfulness of the body. Just gently close the eyes. Now focus your attention down to feel the weight of the body pressing the seat. Just try to feel that sensation of solidity or hardness where the buttocks and the feet press the floor. Those sensations are the material form, the earth element, one of the four elements comprising the material form. You just feel that sensation of that solid sensation, touch sensation, the buttocks and feet. And moving the attention up to feel your hands and fingers where they touch together. Also that material vibration, the earth vibration. We might feel some warmth in the hands, the heat vibration, two elements, earth element, fire element. But even these elements are just cellular vibrations, or even molecular or atomic vibration. That's what comprises the material form. And feel the weight of the arms hanging from the shoulders. And that feeling of the weight of the earth element, earth vibration. And feel the sensations where the clothing rubs against the skin of your shoulders and arms. It's also the earth vibration. You might feel the breathing in the chest area, which is also the earth vibration as well as the wind element, the vibration of movement, air or movement, illustrated by the breathing. It's the air element going in and out of the body. Move the attention up to feel the face, sensations on your face. First of all, just feel where your lips touch together. Just feel where the upper lip touches the lower lip. It's also just the earth vibration. And feel the tongue laying in the mouth. And that soft kind of feeling of the tongue is the earth vibration. And try to feel some saliva in your mouth, that moistness. Any saliva in your mouth, it's the water vibration. Water element. You should be able to feel all those three elements, at least those three, the earth vibration of the clothing against the skin, the air element, that movement of the chest, the water element, saliva in the mouth. Maybe there's some tears. Maybe if you feel heat, the heat element. So this is contemplation of the body. This body is just comprised of the four elements. And those are just basically cells, molecules, atoms, and electrons. It's condensed energy, constant change. It's the clear comprehension. Now feel the eyes resting in the socket. Try to rest the attention, that spot behind the eyes, feeling the eyes. And the subtle eye movement. And from that point behind the eyes, just try to feel the outline of the sitting body. Feel your head and the rest of the body, kind of a general outline. And then take some deep, slow breaths to activate the air element, to charge the cells up with the air element, the oxygen, life force. So just take a deep, slow breath, hold the air in the lungs a few moments. Understanding that this body lives off the oxygen drawn into it, and feel the relaxing contraction of the out breath. Just focus on these expanding and contracting movements of the abdomen, rib cage, and chest. As you take several more deep, slow breaths. It's cultivating this basic mindfulness. Breathing in, letting go of the past and future. Breathing out, sitting here and now. Breathing in, letting go of the past and future. Breathing out, sitting here and now. Just continue that basic present moment. concentrated awareness on the sitting, breathing body. Just feeling the different sensations. You're mindful of the sitting body. What is this purpose of the meditation? What is the purpose of this sitting? Just to develop mindfulness, concentration, and wisdom. Practice of meditation, that's the purpose of the sitting posture. And is it suitable? Is this posture suitable for the practice of meditation? Does it fall within the domain of mindfulness practice, this mindfulness of the body? And the clear comprehension of non-delusion. This body is not some static, solid body, but it's constantly changing. This body is just comprised of billions of cells, molecules, atoms. Basically, it's just condensed energy. Four elemental vibrations or just vibrations, cellular vibrations. This body was born into this world, has a certain set lifespan, will die according to its karma or the end of the lifespan. This body is simply a vehicle for the mind. It's the container for this mind. It's the contemplation of non-delusion. Even the contemplation of death is part of the contemplation of the body. This body could die, breathe out, and no breath comes in again. This body would start dying. And from so many other causes, heart could stop beating, breath could stop. There's so many other types of diseases. We don't know when death could occur. And we just keep the mind grounded in the present moment. Breathing in, letting go of the past and future. And breathing out, sitting here and now. And all these different bodily sensations are producing feelings in this body. Might be feeling some painful, unpleasant sensation. There may be some pleasing, pleasant sensation. There's so many neutral sensations just coming and going, changing. That's the contemplation of feeling. Notice any unpleasant or painful sensation, feeling. Notice how aversion arises with the unpleasant, painful sensation. This is a mental state, pleasurable feeling produces pleasurable thoughts or desires, attachment. Creating many mental states, various thoughts about getting away from the unpleasant feeling. Try to capture the pleasant feeling, changing your mental state. It's the third foundation of mindfulness. Based on the feelings, it triggers off various mental states, thoughts, moods, emotions. Being grounded in the physical body helps you to directly observe various pleasant, painful, or neutral sensations coming and going, to observe the various moods, thoughts, perceptions triggered off by those sensations and feelings. So you're already contemplating the first three foundations of mindfulness. Understand how all these sensations, feelings, and mental states are constantly changing, arise, change, vanish, something else comes up. The process of impermanence. And then the contemplation of the Dhammas, the five hindrances. If any of the five hindrances arise, this is sleepiness, this is sense desire, this is ill will, this is restlessness or worry, this is doubts. Know how these five hindrances arise, what feeds them, how they will get weaker or cease in the future, stop feeding them. It's part of the clear comprehension. In the second category of Dhammanupassana, the five aggregates. Just recognizing this is material form, this is feeling, this is perception, mental recognition, names or labels or perception. These are the habit formations, various types of thoughts, moods, emotions that are arise. And this is the consciousness, the sense of I am meditating, I am doing this, I, me, or mine. Just knowing when any one of these aggregates dominates the field of attention. See how these aggregates are constantly changing. Beyond your control. This body mental process is going on to the force of the past accumulated karma. And as part of these five aggregates, the six senses are operating. The eyes, ears, nose, tongue, the body, skin, even our mind and memory, and the objects that they contact. The fetter that arises between the eye and visible objects, between the ear and sound, the nose and odor, the tongue and flavor, the body and tactile sensation. Consciousness and the mental memories, cognitive, the fetters of attachment, aversion arise. While you're doing all these contemplations, you have strong mindfulness. The mind is very clear and sharp, noticing different phenomenon coming and going. That's the enlightenment factor of mindfulness. If you know how to investigate and develop the clear comprehension about them, it's the enlightenment factor of investigation. If you're eager to practice, getting energy from the meditation, investigation, that's the energy factor, enlightenment factor of energy. You become happier, joyful with the insights you're getting. Become very tranquil, factor of tranquility. And the mind becomes very concentrated. seeing very clearly the flow of impermanence from moment to moment. The jhana factors arise, applied and sustained attention, rapture, joy. And the mind becomes equanimous, becomes detached, not clinging, reacting to anything. And you can clearly see the Four Noble Truths. This is suffering, the cause of suffering. You understand the cause of suffering, you know how suffering can cease by removing the causes. Then knowing the road, knowing the way leading to the end of suffering, and having the right view, and so on. Stay awake, alert, moment by moment, staying grounded, centered in the breathing body. It's where all the other foundations of mindfulness and contemplations of Dhammas arise right within this breathing body, in the present moment. The contact between the ear and sound, what kind of thoughts arise. Sabbi sankhara anicchati. Sabbi sankhara dukkati. Sabbi dhamma anattati. Yada panyaya pasati. Atanibindati dukhi. Esamaggo visuddhiyam. Dukkha patta ca nidukkha. Bhayapatta ca nibbaya. Sokapatta ca nisoka. Hontu sabbi pipanino. all conditioned things, the five aggregates of this body, mind, and world are impermanent. They arise only to change and pass away. And all conditioned things have clung to with ignorance brings stress, worry, and suffering. And all the Dhammas, the five aggregates, conditioned Dhammas, as well as the unconditioned deathless state, are without any owner or controller, without any inherent self-existence. When one understands these three characteristics with the eye of wisdom, one becomes disenchanted with suffering. This is the path to purity, to freedom. And may the suffering be free from suffering. May the fear struck be free from fear. May the grieving be free from grief. In this way, may all beings live with mindfulness and wisdom. And thus spoke the Buddha. Now I invite you to join in chanting the word sadhu 3 times slowly. We do the chanting on a long out breath. If you want to place the hands together at the chest, you can do that. And breathe in. Sadhu. And place the hands at the edge of the knees. Take one more deep, slow breath as you breathe in. Stretch the head back. Pull the hands against the knees. Arch your spine. Hold it a few moments. Then lift the head up on an in-breath, and on the out-breath, press the chin to the top of the chest to stretch the neck vertebrae. And lift the chin up level on an in-breath. And relax on the out-breath. Put a smile on your face. Okay, friends. So I hope you were able to kind of follow that progressive, development of awareness and the 4 foundations of mindfulness. The body is the first foundation. It's the stage, the starting point for being able to develop the subtler awareness to the feelings and sensations, and the mental states, thoughts, moods, emotions triggered off by the sensation. And contemplating the Dhammas. Okay, so anyway, this week, try to continue to develop those foundations of mindfulness. And, even while you're developing those, you develop concentration as well. Okay?
Thank you.
Mindfulness today keeps dukkha away, the M&Ms, meditation supplements, pausing every hour to do an M&M throughout the day.